Hello, it's me Andy from This Gaming. I run a great day and all is well. Today's video, Diablo 4, this time part 2. So now we've got the latest drivers. I've been released from AMD, Intel and Nvidia. So now we're going to do a proper test run. And the game's been released as well. So we can see how it's all up and running properly. So this is part 2. So we've got a few extra graphic cards added to the last one, and obviously an update. So yeah, this is how it runs. So we've got our budget system again. So we've got an Intel i3-10105F, 2.7 base clock, turbos to 4.4. So it's got 4 cores, 8 threads, 6 meg cache. It does quite well. We've got Corsair 16 gigs DDR, 2666 megahertz memory, 500 watts PSU from Corsair, 2 Western digital drives, one 250, one 500, one boot, one game drive, the Gigabyte B660 Elite LGA 1200 motherboard. We've got cooler masterbox case, old case. It does the job well. I mean, we're doing a budget stuff, so no point going out and buy an expensive case if you've got one going, which works. Graphic card wise, we have Nvidia GT 1030, 2 gigs of memory, Nvidia GTX 1650, 4 gigs of memory, Nvidia RTX 2060, 6 gigs of memory, Amd RX550, 4 gigs of memory, Amd RX6500XT, 4 gigs of memory, Intel's Arc with a big 16 gigs of memory if you've got the limited edition. Windows are up to date and the drivers are the latest drivers which support Diablo 4. The Intel driver is a beta driver, so just to let you know, it's not our final release driver, it's a beta driver. And Windows is up to date as always. And the game, well, they're patching it every day, several times a day, so I can't really keep up with the game number, but as far as we know, it is 102 is the client number. You may get this bug, it's not a bug, it's not really a bug. Once you start up, your character screen is like this and nothing happens and it looks like it's frozen in time. Don't worry about it, leave it for about 2-3 minutes and it ends up logging in time in the end. Yeah, so you need to leave it for about 2-3 minutes and it'll be up and running. It seems to be okay now, it's not happening so much, but it was happening when the servers first come up, so you may still get it, so just don't worry about it too much. So the setup screen, all the other screens we leave as they are, or whatever they are, set up. So we got, obviously, depends what graphic card we're using, we're going to be using 720p, 1080p and 1440p, low settings, medium settings, high settings, with or without VSync turned on, FSR, DLS on or off. I'll let you know as the video's going. So yeah, there's a lot of settings. We're just using the presets. So yeah, so you can do a lot of tweaking. For instance, if you use low preset like we've got now and turn everything to low instead, you do gain another 5 frames. So yeah, there is an extra performance there if you need it. Just to let you know, the way the game's set up, you don't really get full screen. So if you've got a higher monitor than the resolution you want to run out, for instance, if you've got a 1440p monitor and you decide to run out 1080p, it won't let you set a setting to 1080p. You've got to go to Windows display settings, change the Windows setting to 1080p, then the game will then change itself to the resolution you want to run out. Oh, by the way, sorry for the delay. This should have come out last week, but the content was crap, so I had to do it again. So now we've got AMD's RX550 versus Nvidia's 1030. now I've actually got them side by side, didn't realise how bad the quality of the Nvidia one was. It obviously struggles putting loading the textures, I think, because I have seen it where sometimes it does, things certainly appear, and there is freezing. You want to run it with VSync on if you run it with these cards. So yeah, we're at 720p, low presets, with VSync turned on. So yeah, the AMD card's worth an extra 5-10 frames a second over the Nvidia card, and the quality is obviously a lot better on the AMD card. So it don't look so bad now on the Nvidia card. It's all like moved up a league. So yeah, it's one of those things where it goes. So yeah, I think the cards, I mean, at the end of the day, the idea of this video is to see if it's playable at the end of the day. Now, there's a lot of freezing. I think a lot of it does go down to video memory on the card. If you look at the CPUs, they're not maxed out. The CPU's running quite low, but it does like a lot of video RAM. Now, the AMD's got twice as much video RAM as the Nvidia card, so it does make a lot of difference. But at the moment, there's a lot of maintenance going on where there's a lot of freezing, a lot of disconnecting, and all sorts of stuff. So, and plus, it obviously varies if you've got a lot of people around you, because obviously, even though it's a single player game, there's a lot of people around the world connected to your game session. Now, I did do a latency check, and I was doing like 60 milliseconds. I thought, really? On the network? So I've got a really lousy network, and it shouldn't be like that. But so yeah, this is what I'm getting. You may get a better job, may get a worse job on the freezing. We switch up to medium preset. The frame rate's dropped about 10 frames, I suppose, around there on both cards. Again, you can see the AMD cards definitely got a bit of picture quality over the Nvidia. So yeah, it can be played. I mean, to be honest with you, I'd probably play it on the low settings. I mean, you ain't getting the greatest picture at the end of the day. Now, I did try with FSR turned on both cards, and the picture quality was crap. So I wouldn't even bother trying putting FSR on. Problem with at those, you're at the lowest of the lowest, so you can't really improve on the lowest pitch quality. So yeah, so it's pointless doing FSR on anything at the end of the day. Again, so we're just over the 50 barrier or just under the 50 bar on the average. Well, I'm sorry to having a mouse on. Unfortunately, I can't find a way when I'm recording off another system to get rid of the mouse pointer. So yeah, now we're on medium settings, medium preset. So same cards, AMD's 550 versus Nvidia's 1030. 720p medium presets. So yeah, the frame rate's gone down between 5 and 10 frames on the average. Again, AMD's cards beating the Nvidia card. Again, I think these cards are around, I'm not sure now, I think they're around the £120 barrier, if you can still get your hands on one. According to rumours on the net, AMD is supposed to be releasing an APU which will destroy these. When it turns up, don't know. People have been going on about it for a while. So yeah, again, it's playable. At the end of the day, we're not doing a test where can we do 500 frames a second at 4K. We just see if it can be played. So yeah, it's a playable setup at the end of the day. And yes, there is a little bit of an input lag. That's why you see we die. And I'm not trying to say I'm lying. I have noticed that when I'm on these low cards, I seem to die quite often. We switch off our level. We're now on AMD's RX6500XT versus Nvidia's GT X1650. So both got 4 gigs of video RAM. At the end of the day, I mean, frame rate's good. We're at 1080p, high presets. So yeah, they both run, yes, but they still get the freezing. At the end of the day, again, none of the game's live. There's a lot of people in town, so it does vary. When you're out of town, it seems to disappear. When you go to another town where there's hardly any people, it's not so bad. But here, obviously, we start around here, we do a run around the town, and then we go out and have a little fight around the corner, where it's going to be most laggy. So yeah, again, I said there's server maintenance on and off, so maybe one of the reasons. This time, Nvidia 1650 is about 5 frames faster on average over AMD's RX6500XT. But yeah, we're up the 80s basically, so we're doing pretty good on higher preset. At the moment, we ain't got no FSR turned on. We'll do that in a second. So yeah, she's running pretty well. Again, if you look at system memory, we're over 10 gig. CPUs between the 30s and 40s. So on both systems. So yeah, again, it's not CPU style of game. It's very much GPU gaming. So now I've turned FSR on. It supports FSR2. So we basically, again, 1080p, high presets, FSR2 turned on, quality mode, and we gain about 10 frames extra. To be honest, I'll probably have it just turned off at the end of the day, because it doesn't really solve a massive problem. Overall, when you are only gaining an extra 10 frames, you might as well just run out native at the end of the day. And again, I will still run VSync on these cards because I find it runs a lot smoother at 60 frames. Now, if you got FreeSync and off the Nvidia Sync, you can change the frame rate to say 7500, whatever you want to do. So, but yeah, I do find it runs a lot better because obviously, one minute you're doing like 100 frames and you go to a big battle, and the next minute you're down to 20 frames, and you do notice it. With VSync turned on, it seems to get rid of a lot of that. Unless you've got a lot of video RAM, it doesn't really go. And obviously these cards have only got 4 gig, and it does show. I have noticed, and I did notice on the server slam, you may get some screen tearing. And again, VSync solves that problem. So yeah, that's another reason why you might want to play with VSync on if you've got that capability. Okay, now we move up to the gaming session type of cards, if you want to call them that. So we've got Intel's Arc A770 versus Nvidia 2060. Yeah, the 2060 is a few years out of date now. Yeah, so we've got Nvidia's got 6 gigs of video memory, and Intel's got 16 gigs of video RAM. So yeah, there's a bit of a difference on the two. So we are at 1440p high presets at this moment in time. So yeah, not bad at all. Running, we're getting well over the 100 frames a second. Now we haven't got FSR. Well, sorry, XeSS turned on for Intel or DLS turned on for Nvidia card. Now I have noticed that, and I did notice on the 1650. Now I don't know if this game has a problem with Nvidia, but the 2060 it goes really hot, and the fans go like a racket. It sounds like Concord taking off. And I ain't joking, it is really on a push. I mean, it does no problem with the frame rate, but it just makes a serious racket. I mean, it goes up to 80C. Now the Intel Arc is really having no problem at all playing the game. Yes, okay, it's a new card, but yeah, It is possible that my 2060 is not working correctly. I mean, it's an old card, and it was bought off eBay. I'm blaming the seller. I've not had any problem with any other game except this. And when I was obviously, as I said earlier, the 1650 was also going some. Okay, it's not as noisy as the 2060, but it was a lot louder than AMD RX6500XT. So yeah, but again, 1650 is also old, so it is possibility. Yeah, but again, they won't really like bang out frame rates. And I also did try just to check. I did lower the resolution to 1080p on the 2060, and it didn't make no difference. The fan speed still went to 80C, and it still ramped up really, really high. Now I've got the upscalers turned on, and yeah, now you can see, oh, you know, just walking away with it really. So we've got the upscalers turned on. Unfortunately, it doesn't really matter. Does a lot. We've got them both on quality mode. So I remind you of the settings. We are on 1440p, high presets. Now with FSR XESS turned on for Intel at quality mode, DLSS on quality mode for Nvidia card. So yeah, they're not really doing anything. In fact, Nvidia card's gone backwards. So yeah, it's a bit pointless at the end of the day. It's not really doing nothing. Again, the video RAM, it's only got 6 gigs of video RAM. It's not doing a lot at all. So I wouldn't worry about putting the upscalers on. It's a bit pointless on these two cards. And obviously Intel's Art has no problem running with its 16 gigs of video RAM at all. Really have a comparable card against the Intel Arc, but obviously on my battery graphic cards, the Intel Arc comes out great. I mean, obviously it's not as good as my 3080 or my AMD 7070XT. Now you might say, why didn't I test those? Well, you're not going to put a 3080 or the 7900XTX in a budget system, are you? So those two cards cost more money than the system altogether. So yeah, so at the end of the day, yeah, Intel Arc is a great all-rounder, especially playing this card. It has no problem playing at 1440p, as I said before. Okay, so we now switch up to Ultra preset, and I've got XESS still turned on quality mode. Now, without quality mode, it drops to around 9500 frames a second, and with it on there, you can see where we're doing a little bit better than what we did before. So we got well into the 125 frames a second on average, so it's running no problem at all around town. In fact, we've actually got no freezing at the moment, so that's a bonus. Again, it seems to vary. It's very intermittent, the freezing. 1 minute you get it, another minute you don't get it. It's very awkward to work out. Now, obviously, the faster and the more video memory you got, it does seem to go away. If you notice through the cards, the low end stuff did have more freezing than the high end stuff. So I think it's a lot to do with video RAM more than anything. And obviously the server, and obviously if you've got a lot of people around you at the time. Okay, if you look at system memory with over 10 gig, did about 11, and CPU is 50%. So again, it's not a CPU oriented game. It's very much GPU. More video RAM you got, the better it's going to run. I mean, playing fine at this moment at 1440p, ultra presets with XESS turned on, quality settings. Again, you can turn XESS turn off, and we're doing about 9500 frames without it on. But I thought, we go over the 100 frames. It doesn't drop so much as well with the lots of video RAM, so again, it plays no problem at all with this card. and it doesn't make a racket like the 2060. Problem with the 2060, this is where I think Nvidia is coming unstuck, where they don't give you enough video RAM. Long term, 6 gig of video RAM just doesn't cut it no more. I'm sorry to say, it just hasn't got it. You need to look at a minimum of 8 gig, really. Now this card is only, in theory, it's only a mid-range card. I'm not quite sure, because obviously as time's gone on, it's improved. When it came out originally, it wasn't that good, but the drivers are now improved, got better. So it's hard to say where this card is supposed to end up. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be as good as a 3070. I don't know. I mean, or 3060 Ti, a 4060. I'm not quite sure where it's supposed to run. I don't have any of those cards, so I can't compare the cards at all. But all I can say at this time, Intel's Arc comes through no problem, and it plays great running this game. Okay, I'm back. Once again, I've proved that budget hardware can play a modern game. So yeah, we've got our i3 1010 10th gen core system running with budget graphic cards, and yeah, we were on 720p 1080p low settings, but they worked, they played at the end of the day, and that's what it's about, these videos. Can it play on these settings? Because obviously we always see the game manufacturer put all the settings up, we got to play them for it's going to work. Now I haven't got the settings what they actually show, but this type of hardware is quite common on, if you're on the Steam hardware, it's common on there, the graphic cards. So yeah, it did work at the end of the day. There was a little bit of input lag, I think, on the low end cards, but it wasn't a massive. I think you get used to it once you start playing. I mean, I'm obviously used to top end hardware, and you're working your way around it at the end of the day. But I did play at the end of the day. Yeah, 720p, the graphics don't look great, but it's not about, okay, why does it look crap? It's about, can it play at the end of the day? That's what these videos are about. So yeah, can't complain. We're doing 55, 60 frames a second, 720p, and again, same with 1080p, low, medium settings for 1650 and the RX6500XT. And the RX550 and Nvidia's 1030, yeah, again, 55, 60 frames a second for those two cards. I never noticed when I was playing it, but you're doing the video, Nvidia 1030, the video quality certainly weren't as good as the RX550. Now I can only put that down to video RAM. It just can't render a certain quality at the end of the day, and low on that card is low. Otherwise it played. Again, it's what the video is about. So yeah, when we come to 2060, I don't know what's wrong with my 2060, if there's a problem or it's the game. I've not come across it playing any other game, so at the moment I'm just putting it down to Diablo 4, making it go to 80C and making a racket. Intel Arc, I can't complain with Intel Arc. Obviously 8 months ago, it's like, is it ever going to get any good? Nothing works properly. Intel fixed the UE. Basically, the games have got faster as time's gone on, and we're playing at 1440p. Showed your ultra settings, 100 frames a second, or with XeSS turned on, quality mode, you're doing about 125, 130 frames average a second. So yeah, Intel Arc was great. Now I can't compare it against any other card because I don't have any in that range. It's just that one. There's any other card around that spec, Nvidia is going to be 400 odd plus In AMD, probably again a little bit around that mark, and I don't really want to spend that sort of money. And then because we are supposed to be a budget channel, we'll start spending £400, £500 on a graphic card. It's not really budget, is it? So it's a bit pointless me buying those cards for this channel. So yeah, what can I say? Intel Arc at the end of the day, great price, great performance for this game. If Diablo you're looking forward to and you need a graphic card, buy Arc. It flies, proved it, it runs great. So yeah, that's about all I've got to say really. Score wise, I would give it a solid 9 out of 10. That's how much I've enjoyed it so far. Yeah, there was a few teething problems with the freezing. All games got freezing problems, crashing and God knows what in the beginning. This one's not that bad, because I don't have black screens and all that sort of stuff. So I can't complain that much. So yeah, game's done well, played well, can't complain. So that's about it for this video. I'll see you in the next one, which is going to be maybe another driver test on the Intel Arc. And next month we've got a beta test on Warhammer Sigil something or other. I can't remember what it's called now. It's Warhammer something. It's an open beta test next month, so don't forget to join it. Why not? It's free at the end of the day next month. So we'll test that, see how well the game plays on there as well for the next Can It Play video. Okay, have fun all, and don't forget to subscribe and thumbs up. Laters all.